top right, a Red Zerg from the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett.
And scoring in the southwest side as our blue Terran, hailing from Team Liquid, it is Kelazhur. But no, I like that you put it like that, because you could see either one of these. I mean, if I had to think of somebody that's been better throughout their career, I would say Scarlett for sure. But it's not because I felt that Kelazhur has been bad by any means. I just feel that Scarlett really at some points of her career was amazing, you know? Yes. And she's still always scary. She's always been a top 3 player in this region. And for her to not make top 3 in this region would be kind of weird. But if it was to, if she was to fall to anybody and it be Kelazhur, yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised, because I think of all the people that she can lose to, the list of players is pretty small when it comes to this region, actually.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I was saying the other day, I was like, I can't remember who I was casting with, but I said, I was like, well, you know, when I look at this set of players, the players who are impressing me the most are probably Scarlett and Kelazhur, and, you know, if I had to pick a favorite, I'd pick one of those two. And, you know, I kind of would say the same still after watching that previous semi-final too. I'd say whoever wins this, I really do kind of favor in the finals as well. Yeah, I thought that Kelazhur has a really good shot, especially if he got a good bracket. And I mean, the players ahead of him, funnily enough, are 2 players he's already beaten in this tournament. You know, like, I mean, it's got to feel kind of good, but, you know, also like a weird bit of pressure for Kelazhur, who, you know, has not won a regional. He's been held back by Special in Latin America for so long. It's a really fun little situation scenario we have building up here, so excited to see what we get, as we have obviously the openings being very, very standard. Kelazhur is going to go triple CC. Oh, no, sorry. Second guess just came down. So he will go actually some kind of starport-based play to begin with. We'll see what he wants to do, but yeah, overall, very standard the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, when I think about people that have held him back, Special's been a massive one, hasn't he? Like that TVT over there in Latin America. Eric on one point in time as well, which was a massive upset. I think Kelazhur suffered maybe the most surprising 0-3 of his life against Eric. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, I think TVZ is a matchup that Kelazhur's always felt pretty solid in. You know, he's always been that kind of guy that can do the Reaper grenade stuff. Very much the U-Thermal-esque type player of the Latin American scene. Very good micro, very good with the bio. So yeah, this is absolutely a pleasure to get here to watch and observe. And yeah, if Kelazhur won this whole thing, that would absolutely be the result of a lifetime for him. And I mean, he's been around since the absolute beginning. He's been a really damn good player for a long period of time as well. And, you know, I think about highs in his career. Like, he was, when it was GSL versus the world a long time ago, and he was one of the players that was selected. He was like the only European that took a... Yeah, he was the only European that took a map off one of the dudes, and it was TY, yeah, on Whirlwind of all things.
Man, Ben, if I had like $1 for every time you told that story when you cast Kelazhur... Well,
mate,
I might even be sub to you at this point. Like,
I can't help it. I can't help it. It's just one of those things that absolutely it's ingrained in me. But whoa, look at that! Did you see what's on the production tab?
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Second factory came up. I was gonna say as well. You mentioned what Kelazhur likes to do, and one of the cool things as well is he can mix it up and play a bit of mech. And you know, not so long ago, I would have actually said this blue flame can be a really fun opening to then also hit with bio afterwards as a follow-up. Nowadays, Battle Mech is that little bit more improved as well, so we really do have a fun follow. Oh my goodness, a Fusion Core too. We're just getting all of the things, but Scarlett with the Overlord from the angle. Well, you know what? She's going to see the Blue Flame. She ain't going to see the Fusion Core. So that's actually kind of interesting. As we lift the starboard up, we drop it back down. She starts the Roach Roar, and so she's going to be well prepped against Hellions. But yeah, the Fusion Core might still catch her off guard. She'll have no scout of that.
So, okay, the fact that he put the starport back down for the tech lab, so that's for a battle cruiser, I'm guessing, not for any sort of Liberator range or anything like that, which I love, Wardy, I love. And I'm looking at his gas as well. That lines up pretty damn nicely to be at 300 by the time that Fusion Core does finish over here. Infernal Pre-Igniter is coming alive. I mean, you know, he has to get damage done with this for sure, and it's going to be pretty tricky against Roaches, but this is definitely an opening. Definitely an opening, Wardy.
Oh, it's absolutely an opening, and you know what? With the Blue Flame being such a threat, you can maybe force Queens to be in a certain position. We're actually going to get in just a little bit before Roaches here. We've gotten around the Queens. Even just a few Hellions with Blue Flame will do a lot to a mineral line. And if you're caught in, like, reproducing, like, saving yourself mode as Scarlett when the battlecruiser arrives, this could be deadly. These Hellions just need to focus on getting drones right now. We get 5. Can we get some part of this lineup? Not really. Felt like we were really targeting the wrong drones at different points there, but 6 workers do go down. It's something. It's still a drone pull as well. And like I say, the preparation against the battlecruiser is nil. We do not have a spore crawler building or anything, so that part of this is really the surprise factor. It's quite scary because if Scarlett hits a timing, it's very possible Kelazhur doesn't have enough because he's invested in first a lot of Hellions and Blue Flame, and then the BC is nice, but it'll be on the wrong side of the map. If Scarlett doesn't know, there's not much she can do about it, so... Yeah, here we go, actually. These Hellions! Oh my goodness, how do they never get the lineup shot, man? It's crazy.
I tell you what, though, that's still quite a lot of damage being done from these Blue Flame Hellions. I mean, 9 drones killed with a second approach, and now all these queens in this base go to the main. Go to the main with that BC, man. Yeah. In fact, where is the BC?
It is finally teleported to the main! Ben, are you a pro player or something? You knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yeah, I mean, this was set up very, very nicely for him, man. Baiting all those queens over to that third base with that second run by, and now the queens, they want to come to this main base, and now look at that from Kelazhur. Everything's lining up how you want it to go. He's making Scarlett's life very miserable, very not what she had planned.
Oh no, not what she had planned in the slightest. And the thing is as well, even with roaches out, like, it's difficult to deal with these Hellions because they just have to run by for a couple moments to deal damage. It's not like, you know, the roaches are just going to kill them before they kill a few more workers. And I mean, Scarlett's doing a great job of droning up consistently behind this, but Kelazhur's had a great start to this game. He's definitely slowed Scarlett down, and I do wonder what Kelazhur can do on the follow-ups from here. It feels like he should still have a lot of potential in the next little while.
Yeah, absolutely should. And his macro behind all this has been pretty fluid as well. And he's not stopping on the BC production. Like, getting the BCs up and running, like 3 is kind of the magic number. You can go higher if you do want, but his mech setup behind this is really, really cool. Because I just think mech is nice in general. We're playing on NA here in NA versus Korea, which is also, like, ping-wise. Maybe he feels that he has a nice little edge there. Maybe that's the kind of time that you want to think about throwing out the bio play, but... yeah, so far, for all intents and purposes, he started off this series with a lot of fire, a lot of tenacity. That's a lot of queens, by the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of queens. The BC going to keep him busy. We do have double BC on the map now, and just going to keep on moving around. More factories, more armories coming up. Yeah, I love kind of taking the approach on Ancient System as well with mech, though, because it is the Zerg map pick, right? And, you know, one of the things I think you can do a lot of the time on Zerg maps is not play bio, because we really consider maps as, like, Zerg maps because of this. As okay, that's a thing. Against 2 BCs and no anti-air, then yeah, I guess that's actually a really good thing.
I mean, yeah. So the thing is, like, Kelazhur, when I see Maru do any sort of mech opening, it's like he'll go Cyclones into tanks, whereas Kelazhur, because he was greedy about it, he had to go tanks into Cyclones, if he's going to go Cyclones ever, but there's none out on the field whatsoever. Like, he's going to be absolutely caught with his pants down, and Scarlett, she's done a good job of defending. These guys are just barreling through the middle of the map, and yeah, I think we might be seeing an early GG.
This is going to be brutal because they're going to lose all the tanks, and then the Roach follow-up is just going to kill Kelazhur, right? Because now he's got no siege tanks. 2 BCs are not going to cut it. Right, the miners might not be able to kill the BCs with mass repair on them.
They don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. The road BCs will take so long to kill all the Roaches, that'll kill the third. The meters go elsewhere. I mean, just a beautiful 1-2 punch from Scarlett. Meters seem like a wild idea, but in this scenario, it's exactly the perfect time to do it because Kelazhur was being that much greedier than usual. And this is, yeah, just a pretty devastating blow, to say the least.
And that's a brave turret holding on with all those SCVs hugging it, but the supplies don't lie, Wardian. Those Cyclones, they pop out, but I don't think they'll be alive for long. The Mutas were rallied right on top of where those Cyclones pop out, and yeah, GG.
Wow, Scarlett just not messing around, was she? She knew exactly what she wanted to get into there. She was very aware of kind of the style she was going to play. Just super, super confident. Straight up standard. It's just impressive, honestly. Like, I mean, this is the Scarlett we kind of know and love, right? When she just identifies what's going on, even caught a bit off guard, and she did struggle against the mech of Future yesterday a little bit. But this game, she had such a solid plan, even when it went wrong, even though she had to improvise a little bit, she bounces back so perfectly, and now she leads 1-0, so she already goes more than what she got done in the best of 3 they played in the group stages. It's got to feel good for Scarlett. As, of course, if you win this as well, we've got an All-American, or All-North American, sorry, grand finals too, because that kind of tournament point you and Roddy mentioned it, this kind of LATAM, North America, both matches today are LATAM versus North America in the semis. I think it's a really cool little thing, because this is our first time seeing these regions all joined up, and it's really fun to see how they compete and compare with each other. And yeah, just something extra to think about. But this game too, Grezvan is going to be the map. I mean, I feel like we start seeing the maps that Kelazhur wants to play on as a priority now. Ancient System was 100% Scarlett's choice, so Kelazhur probably picking Grezvan too, and then see where we go from there. I actually have the map order, so I'll bring this up quickly.
Oh, and we not switching servers for these two?
Oh, no,
it's just on America?
Yeah, just on America, because Kelazhur's in EU and Scarlett's in Korea, so there's just no other alternative. So the maps are actually...
awesome.
So Kelazhur vetoed Altitude and Scarlett vetoed Dragon Scales, which I would have said like a month ago was like the absolute go-to vetoes, but more often nowadays we see actually sometimes Ancient vetoed, sometimes, something other than Dragon Scales vetoed from the Zergs. And then map 3 will be Royal Blood, Babylon 4, and Neo Humanity 5, so kind of a funky series as you work down the list. It'll be kind of fun to see if we actually, get more than 3 games as well, especially I would love to see Neo Humanity between these two. I feel like that map's been delivering lately. So, yeah, we'll see. Although maybe we've seen enough of that in TVZ today after that Rain or Spirit series.
That was enough ZVT to last you a week. That single that single game, But it was a glorious game actually. Now thinking about it, a real glorious game. Anyhow, speaking of spawning over in the bottom right hand side as our blue Terran, it is Kelazhur on Grezvan.
What's up, left? Our red Zerg player from the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett.
Those Blue Flame Hellion builds, they always feel a lot scarier than they are.
Yeah.
Like, and the damage points, I think it's like 14 damage for a Hellion, then they gain +5 to light, meaning they deal 19 damage. So it still takes you 3 hits with or without Blue Flame to kill drones, which is always a bit deceptive. They're just slightly... Well, they take 2 hits to kill Zerglings instead of 3. So I always feel that those kind of builds are a bit like, oh, there's Blue Flame Hellions in the main. Oh, 6 drones. Oh, okay. But that's kind of the same as with the regular Hellions. So I'm always kind of like, are they the best builds to go for? Like, I very not often see them work out. It almost feels like you can go with the red Flame Hellions, like, just as they are and get your tech up behind it a little bit faster.
That's true. I guess it's you just have the second factory to get the extra Hellions is the biggest difference, and then there's no reason not to get Blue Flame off the tech lab unless you just start Backfield super early, but you don't have Cyclones. Sometimes,
yeah, kind of.
Yeah. I guess just being able to kill Lings more quickly if they're trying to defend off Lings only, if they don't have the Roaches straight away, that surprise factor can really help with the Blue Flame.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, there's absolutely advantages to it. But there's also this thing in my mind where I'm like, is this actually the best thing? Like,
Yeah.
Whenever I used to theorycraft about this game, and very often it would be when I was not playing StarCraft, and it would be like, I'm having a shower or whatever, not thinking about it at all. And it'd be like, oh, this build could actually work out really well. And that's where I came up with a lot of my own like little tweaks and turns to things. But yeah, I've never felt those 2 factory Hellion builds are actually all that great, just because the numbers don't really add up in my mind about where the damage is actually going to come from, especially if your Zerg opponent does not mess up, which Scarlett in that game did not. I guess Kelazhur could have run into that natural there, which might have done a little bit more damage with those Hellions, but this is all hindsight and much easier to say after the fact. But yeah, if Scarlett was a little bit more greedy or had units slightly out of position, maybe we would have been looking at an absolute different result.
Scout's just huge as well. She got the Overlord straight in pretty early on, so she had plenty of time to get the Roaches started. This game, no second guess, and Kelazhur will put the more honest 3CC down, so a pretty honest opening from him. Just way more kind of down the middle of the road, and it's going to be what he aims for the next few moments here. As we're into game number 2. I actually kind of regrettably didn't get to catch Scarlett Kelazhur in the group stages, so I don't know what kind of games went down between them in the previous stage of the tournament. But yeah, obviously Kelazhur 2-0 earlier, but when you think of that being like a couple of weeks ago now, so much can change in StarCraft in a couple of weeks. And
so much.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, and Scarlett is absolutely the kind of player where she learns from every game she plays, so you lose a Series 0-2, there's no way she didn't go over those games, figure out what she's going to do differently, and, again, just come into this series as a whole new player, essentially.
What Kelazhur's doing here, by the way, is far more lined up to be like a Maru-esque opening with the very quick third and also very fast 3 factory. So I think this is going to be far more into the fast cyclones, and then later on you get siege tanks when you start trying to transition. He's also opting for that fast second marine out of the barracks, and that is purely for denying the scout. And he has seen where the Overlord wanted to fly in from, and he is trying his best to deny any kind of info that could be seen here. So yeah, this kind of build here, this is the one that I'm like, oh yeah, this one makes a lot more sense to me. So I like this so far, and also the map layout. Like, you often think about Bio being the one that's all on the map and stuff, but it's not out on the map for quite some time. Like, not until it gets medevac support and also stim, combat shields, you name it. Whereas this is very quickly active, which is kind of a weird way to think about it, like this whole switch on how mech is done. But also, look at that, Magfield is the one in play here. So I like all the switches, everything that we talked about between the games, and it's a complete flip on its head, isn't it?
Just immediate move, like, immediately moving into this battle mech does so much for you. You know, this is what we saw actually Future have success with yesterday against Scarlett, and Scarlett just really couldn't deal with the initial move into kind of like tanks, especially. She tried to counterattack, there was tanks in position. Future was very well timed with his transitions. So Kelazhur will have to be sharp, because Scarlett was very good with the ideas of her counterattacks. The first 2 tank timing was absolutely perfect yesterday. If Kelazhur can do that, I like what he's going to be doing, but otherwise, it could still be scary. We do have our Rotron finishing. Scarlett's very on top of what's going on here. She ain't messing around. Well, she doesn't actually know, but she clearly has a bit of a feeling. Yeah. 3
spores though, Wardy. That absolutely signals to me that she's thinking it could potentially be Banshee still at this point, which you always have to respect. Making a lot of ground units as well. Like, yeah, or BCs again, absolutely. 9 roaches at once. Got a lot of Zerglings out as well, I do believe. In fact, when I say a lot, 11. That is not enough to deal with this kind of thing from Kelazhur at all. But nice transfusions to start things off.
Yep, keeping these alive. Scarlett obviously wants to try and stay away. Magfield's not done yet, so you don't see that Cyclone bonus damage ready. There is a counterattack of Lings heading down the right side. Checking on that in a moment, because we are going to see at least a couple of Queens dropping here. Magfield now finishing. The Lings do get straight into the natural, so we will get some SCV kills right away as Scarlett. It's a fantastic first move for her. She will get 6 workers. She is keeping the units busy at the front. She's starting to lose a few more now. Yesterday, she was also very quick to get into Burrow, which was very helpful in the end, because you can obviously use that to deny the lock-on sometimes, force scans every single time. Right now, though, she is losing a lot at the front. My goodness.
Yeah. I love this barracks, by the way, just for vision, just for being annoying as well. Like, even if you do attack move, the Queens start attacking that barracks instead of chasing down the army. She's down to 1 Queen, Wardy. 1 Queen.
Yeah, she has just been losing Queens throughout the last few moments. They have been the main targets of the lock-ons. The Roach count is good, but Roach speed isn't done yet. And Kelazhur just has so much potential to get more damage done for a little while. And yeah, this is starting to look a bit scary. Even though Kelazhur actually lost a bunch of workers, he's only 3 workers behind, which really goes to show just how much Scarlett's struggling to kind of keep up at the moment. Yeah,
look at that resource loss tab as well. I mean, Kelazhur's microing this really damn nicely, and this Magfield, this is night and day from that first game of what he's actually getting done with this.
And you remember when this Magfield change came in, people were like, man, Cyclone's still going to be bad. It's like, nope, that's still great.
Yeah, that's still good. And now he's got Blue Flame as well behind this. And I love this as well. Back at home, this is exactly how Maru does it. He goes up to about 6, 7 Cyclones. Then he goes into tanks. And look, those Roaches marching to their death. If he gets a repair on that tank, he might be able to keep it alive as well. Does just that. Scarlett, she's dead as a dodo. She's dead as a dodo, Wardy.
Dead as a dodo. Why did you even bother existing? Because Kelazhur has just been all over you here. Yeah, she clearly struggles a little bit against these more straight-up battle mech openers. That Roach time is exactly what I talked about from yesterday as well. She counterattacks, but the tank timing is just absolutely spot on this time from Kelazhur. So even though it wasn't sieged, it was just enough to hold off those few Roaches that came across. And Kelazhur takes a supply lead. Scarlett, I feel like almost a desperation spire, where she knows continuing to play straight-up Roaches is not going to cut it. So you put down the spire, you kind of hope you survive, and then probably just Mutalisk. You overwhelm the initial Cyclone count, and then you just hope you can get across the map and do a lot, and maybe then follow up with Roaches. I don't think this is usually her go-to in this scenario. It's just very much so a case of she knows she's taking way too much damage, and she needs to kind of pull a fast one on Kelazhur to have a chance of looking back at being in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if Kelazhur is going to follow the Maru playbook, No longer do you use mules, it's just scanning. Constantly scanning and just checking out what's going on. He does it more than any other Terran I've ever seen. And then, if you do spot anything like this, a little bit cheeky, you just go into like your Cyclones or your Mule, or rather, your Thors. You can even go like Ghosts and stuff from here, which might sound a little bit early, but they do the job as well.
Yeah, no, very true. I mean, you really just have the kind of the driver's seat of this game at the moment. It's Kelazhur. Scarlett's going to try and crank out some Spire units. There's the 7 Mutalists starting up. How many Cyclones do we have currently? 4. 4, no
it's
turrets.
A bit scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Because Kelazhur, the first 8 minutes of this game were perfect. But now I feel that he's kind of letting things slip a little bit. And the scouting, like he's scanning the army, but look at this, Wardy. He's moved out and he thinks this is it. This is all he's against. And we know absolutely it isn't. The best move by Scarlett here is trying to sneak out these Mutalisks. Absolutely sneaking them out, because that is enough to take out this army, surprisingly.
Yes, no, it really is. All you have to do is get rid of these few Cyclones. We're going to see the Roach Ravager immediately greeting this. A couple Biles to start as well. Knock down some tanks already. And the Mutas are going to decide to come and deal with the army in particular. So that does mean that Kelazhur should get defensively set up at home. First Muta shows itself. Well, you don't want to lose Mutas too freely, because you do want to kind of have enough to actually knock down the tanks afterwards. But Biles are helping out for the moment. Still, Mutas feels like a very slow going. I mean, I guess that many Mutas just doesn't have too much DPS. Kelazhur knows these units are dead if they return home, so he's just going to try and push them forward. And that's going to be messy as well, as Corrosive Biles are landing. Scarlett's losing a few drones, but every tank is going to die.
I mean, these tanks are dying. They're dealing a lot of damage, but Kelazhur's made this game so much harder on himself. I mean, his army didn't shoot up, Wardy. It didn't shoot up, and all he had to do was find out what he was up against. And Scarlett is just finding a way back into this game, because it's a game that she has no rights of still being in. But well played to her. Well played on her. Absolutely. To Kelazhur's misfortune here, he's found himself in a real hard place.
Scarlett did lose 19 drones, but she'll get some SCV kills now. And yeah, this is exactly why you went Spire. Keep building Roach Ravager, and you probably do die, even if, Kelazhur just, decides to push then or a bit later on. The Muta's maybe not so high in numbers anymore, maybe not scary anymore. She's not doubling down into further Mutalists. She's actually just going now Mass Roach Ravager. Is that the right call? Can she? I mean, she seems to think she's going to have enough to break through here. She killed a lot of tanks previously, but it's very slow going cleaning out these tanks. Finally, the second set of Biles is going to kind of miserably land on tank number 2. It will fall as we try and make our way up here. It feels like Scarlett's just losing a lot. She's attacking in and just really not gaining a lot at all.
I don't know why, Wardy, whenever we come to NA delivers. Like this, it isn't clean, it isn't pretty, but it certainly is cool to watch, because what on earth is going on? They are just absolute slobber knocking all over the shop, and I think it's the fact that we go from Europe to this that it looks so chaotic. But yeah, I don't know who's winning anymore. I would probably give the edge to Scarlett here, given the fact she's got up to Hive and getting that great Aspire, but my goodness, these guys, they do like baseball and throwing over there in NA, don't they?
I am just like, she built the Hive, and you know what the craziest thing to me is when the Hive finished, if she just instantly started like 3 Vipers and then waited for this attack, yeah, Kelazhur might have like another round of tanks out by the time you attack, but like you're gonna have like 6 Abducts or 6 Blinding Clouds and maxed out Roach Army. Like, I feel like you're still good to go, and you'll be having a way better fight than what we just saw. Obviously, maybe Scarlett not quite aware of just where she was at after those Mutalisks, and I mean, now she's looking like she's in trouble. Like, don't get me wrong, the Corruptors are nice, and the Great Spy on the way. I guess it's a game of information, because if Kelazhur doesn't realize Broodlord's about to pop, he might still be in a lot of trouble. If he knew Great Spy was building, he started building Thors right now, I think Scarlett's still in a ton of trouble herself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Roaches get significantly worse against tanks when the tanks hit +1, because then you 2-shot them with your siege tanks. Never mind when you hit +2 and stuff. But yeah, upgrade-wise, Kelazhur's going to be massively ahead. Also, the Broodlings, they suck against armored Thors. So the fact that she's getting that plus melee may seem really weird, but those Broodlings deal a lot of damage if they have the upgrades. But if they don't, they absolutely tickle that mech army. So you have to be careful about that.
Got to be quite cautious, as do you have the 5 Broodlords morphing. Scarlett lost a lot of drones not so long ago. And do you have our first Thors coming out? Scarlett again, Roach Ravager in the center, just being lost here. That's going to turn out to be quite expensive, so A little bit unfortunate as we do see our 3-3 upgrades continuing through for Kelazhur. He's pushing through the center. I mean, I like it in some ways, but you don't have your Broodlords here, your Thors here yet, so the Broodlords are going to be a good answer to this army, and Kelazhur's just A-clicking forward. He's not going to siege up or anything, and this literally feels like you're letting the Broodlords have the best chance. I mean, he's getting damage done.
I actually don't mind it from him right now. These Broodlings, I think they deal 4 damage without any upgrades.
Yeah.
And these tanks, they have like 3 armor with the +2 upgrades that he has. So these guys, they just kind of ran rampant through this base. And I mean, now he's getting the anti-army back at home. Better these Broodlords on this side of the map than outside your base.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, right? It worked out 100%, like way better than I thought it was going to. And now he's got Ghosts and Thors on the way, so he is going to end up in a good position. I was just a bit shocked. I felt like this was unnecessary until he got the Thors, but I suppose then it worked out. It was well calculated, so I'll take back my thoughts on it. And Kelazhur, absolutely now 100% back into the lead of this game that was meant to be his from kind of the beginning. As you said, this was absolutely a Kelazhur game, and Scarlett brought it back with the mutas, but we are now 100% heading towards Kelazhur here for Game 2. Tie up this Series 101, and we really will have a semi-finals on our hands.
Yeah, and that army now, that mech army, that's a mech army. That is scary as hell. I mean, even if you had a few Vipers or a few Infestors in the mix, you got the Ghost to counter those as well. And this amount of Thors, especially with the upgrades being so minimal right now for Scarlett, like let's be fair to her. She has been crawling back, real clawing back in this game. But right now she's met with one of the scariest armies you can possibly imagine, and she doesn't quite have the tools to deal with it, but she makes it look like she does.
She's going to move forward with confidence. I mean, you kind of want spellcasters, right? Vipers, Infestors in some combination. There are 0 spellcasters on the map unless you're going to count the 3 queens that can transfuse. So yeah, we don't really have what we need, but she moves forward aggressively and kind of maybe makes Kelazhur second guess his position on the map. He's going to pull back. He's still getting more Thors, but it's also time for Scarlett to get set up herself. So we'll see if she can muster up enough to actually take a fight here, and a successful one at that. Kelazhur is not going to be far from pushing again, because as soon as he maxes, he's got 0 reason to keep on waiting around.
Right now, 3-3 against, like, you know, the ranged attack is on the way. The missile, but those Broodlings still deal absolutely 0 damage. I don't even necessarily think he needs to super siege against this, or if he does siege, he needs to focus fire. Okay, these ghosts are crucial here, Wardian. Oh. Where's the detection? Those Overseers were out of place there, over on the right side. Now they come in at the final moments. Nice Biles. These Banelings, I mean, they don't deal the most damage against mech, but they're getting juicy shots in. I mean, they are both absolutely slobber knocking in one another, and my goodness, I don't even know what the hell happened.
That was a wild fight. Like, I kind of felt like Scarlett was doing very well, but she just didn't have enough in the end. Yeah, the Overseers didn't have speed, so they were A, out of position, and B, extremely slow to come across. So obviously it was pretty costly there, and you do end up in a 1-1 tied-up situation. Kelazhur finally gets his win. I mean, he was probably meant to have it a lot sooner. I credit to Scarlett, because she was in trouble. She clearly knew she had to do something different, and she did exactly that. She went very different with the Mutalisks. And it worked. You know, it put her right back in the game. It gave her a fighting chance. And now it sets us up at 1-1 apiece. And we're heading ourselves into this game at 3 semi-finals here in the Americas. Winner plays Australia, and the finals after that will be best of 7. Kelazhur is going to be a moment or two before we get in. Obviously, very mech-focused so far here, Ben. And I think rightfully so. He's seen Scarlett's been weak to mech. He's been good with his mech. Do we switch it towards bio at any point? Or do we... You know, do you like the mech play enough so far to just keep doing it?
I do like the mech play, and I think Marrow's really showcased really good ways of going about it. You saw that that opening in particular was working wonders for Kelazhur. Now, if he looks back at the game, obviously you can't play the same map again, but if you can tighten things up a little bit and just be like, these mutas keep catching me off guard. Maybe I get like, and in my head, it's always good to be like, all right, I go for like 6-7 Cyclones. If it's going really well, I can always kind of add. But like this, the safety number is 6-7. Then I switch into 4 tanks, and that's what Marrow's been doing. And then he kind of divvies it up. So he needs to be a little bit more careful on keeping on making those tanks. And that's a pretty easy adjustment to make, especially when it's like, okay, what's caught me off guard this series? Mutas. What's caught me off guard this series again? Mutas. So like, and everything's easier said than done. But Kelazhur, he's a pro player for a reason. He can make these adjustments, and he already made one adjustment from game 1 to game 2, which was better utilization of what he's pumping out of the factory and when he's doing it. So I think we're going to see constant evolution from Kelazhur, where he's learning what kind of Zerg he's dealing with here. And Scarlett, she hasn't showcased that she knows exactly what to do against that opening, so I would lean on it if I was Kelazhur.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's definitely struggling against these just battle mech openings. The initial trade, she gets knocked down to such a low queen count, then the roaches keep on dropping too. Just the Cyclones getting involved early have definitely been the bane of her the last couple of days. Let's dive in and find out whether that will continue. In the top right-hand corner, the red Zerg from the Shopify Rebellion is Scarlett.
And spawning over on the other side, on Royal Blood, we have Kelazhur.
We are gonna
cheeky.
Okay. Good change of pace.
How'd you feel about that one? Wardy?
Yeah, I like it. Good change of pace. You've kind of shown that your mech is kind of pretty, got pretty high potential, and you don't necessarily need to be super cheesy. Like, you've held your own very well in that second game. And now you kind of proxy when... I feel like at this point, Scarlett, you always got to potentially expect a proxy, but I don't think Scarlett has any reason to be like, oh, okay, this series is going great for me. Let's just make a safety pool first, just in case. Like, there's no reason to have that in play. And we are going to have a third Rax as well, so we're super committing to this one.
That Overlord is going... Oh, you know, this is... There was a long time ago when Terrans, before a series, would go to replays just to figure out how their opponent scouts with their Overlords early on. And I remember it was when all us Terrans were talking about it one time. I think there's that Home Story Cup, you know, we're all having a few drinks, and we were talking about the Zergs that scout in particular ways that you can easily 2-racks and 3-racks and stuff. It was one of the most surreal moments of my life, as all just revealing all the Overlord tips and tricks of the Zerg players. But this definitely lines up like Kelazhur's thought about this a lot, right? Like that Overlord there, seeing the scouting pattern of it. I mean, he is going to reveal it quite early, actually, but I guess he wants to get in there, start making a bunker, and getting things done.
Yeah, start getting a bit of a wall with this bunker, right? First one on this right side, going to make a little bit of a loop around for Scarlett's units. The Marines put some damage onto the Overlord, but no reason to stay on that. There is high ground nearby, so now going to be time to focus up. There's bunkers on the way. Scarlett's just going to instantly... seems to know it's 3-racks from what she's seen, so because of that, she's just going to give up the hatcher on the low ground and build a roach run, which is acceptable versus 3-racks.
Yeah, I think it's actually a real solid way to go about it. Like, obviously you're a little bit scared if this Terran just moves up this ramp, and he does know about the roach warren, doesn't he? Like, he went up there and spotted it out, kind of thing. We'll lose a Marine for his troubles.
Yeah.
He did see it?
Yeah, no, he did see it. Sorry, I went in on his vision, I was like, oh my god, he didn't see it, but it was actually just super far to the right. I didn't even scroll far enough, so... Yeah, he did in fact see the roach warren. He actually, he knows. Well, obviously, because he knows he's going to dive the main base, because now he accepts that, you know, he could have killed the hatchery, and Scarlett was going to give that up. And he says, no, I actually want to fight because you're not prepared to keep on fighting me. I've killed off the lings, the roaches won't be ready yet. He gets 6 more drones. Now he might not be able to kill the hatch, though, so this was a decision that he had to make, and it isn't going to come freely. Let's see if he can kill the hatchery still. If Scarlett can save this would be nice.
It's going to be close, man. It's going to be real close. There's also potential that he kind of... He runs forward and gets on top of these Ravagers. Oh, yeah. I mean, no, the hatchery's going to go down, man. It's going to go down, but these Ravagers can't really be super stopped. Oh! That was a queen, eh?
Yeah, that was a queen, and the bunker will go down, but this was pretty nice for Kelazhur, because now moving up into the main base was really good, because you've not only, as he does turn, he is going to get... not quite the one Ravager. What I was going to say is he does get the extra 6 drones that you wouldn't have usually gotten, because if Scarlett just gives up the natural, she keeps the drones alive in the main, and Kelazhur is all happy. He really made the most of this. He does dive forward with these Marines. Does he have the DPS for 1 Ravager? I think so. And will even chase for another, which is also going down. 2 Ravager kills. Go Kelazhur. Wow.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal, actually. I mean, obviously this game is weird and wonky now, and Kelazhur's super respecting the fact that he's scared about those Ravagers on the map, but he did eliminate the count already. Pretty damn hardcore. this is the kind of game where you can absolutely follow it up with 3 CC and go into mech from here, even though you've got 3 barracks available. I mean, you can also do just a kind of standard opening behind it all, I suppose, but oh man, what a situation to be in.
What a situation to be in. We do have just, I mean, 2 bunkers will never go down to the Ravagers. They can poke all they like, but there's also the Overlord just coming in now, I guess, to provide high ground vision. That will help out a little bit more. We are way off the factory, obviously, because it's 3 racks. You do not have the factory as quickly. That's kind of part of the reason you can go for the Roach Ravager, because the counterattack will find some value, and you can see it here. Killing depots, and now actually supply block Kelazhur probably needs to wait for the CC to finish before we can actually build the Cyclone. So it's just an extra delay, potentially. There's that tech lab. Still building on the factory for the moment, though.
Tell you what, that was some real value for Scarlett. Getting 3 depots, the supply block, the lost mining time with these SVs as well. Definitely something that can make her feel like, okay, I at least got something done back at the base of Kelazhur after all this. But yeah, you don't feel good. You don't feel good whenever you're in a game like this and you had to pull the drones and, you know, you lost quite a few of them. But she's quite lucky that Kelazhur went into that main base as late as he did, right? Because we were talking about it, like, he knows she's going for roaches, not for mass slings and stuff. So he could have went there quite a lot earlier and really threatened way more drones than he did.
Yeah, very good point, actually, as we are going to go utilize all 3 racks and just start stim and combat shields. So a very biocentric follow-up. No surprise when all 3 racks return home, he didn't leave one across the map scouting. And yeah, next step, starport, couple medevacs, and will be good as gold to try and get some damage done.
Do you think he's just going to do a big barracks all-in after this?
He could do. I wouldn't mind it, especially against someone who's now already kind of committed a bit to roaches. So you're a bit less likely to get stuff like Banes up straight away, and roaches, especially if you, like, say you SCV pull or something really crazy. I mean, he starts with 3rd CC, but so it's not going to happen, but say you kind of go roaches and you're kind of a bit later to Banelings because the game's been a bit wild, you pull SCVs, the roaches just, you know, waste so much time on the SCVs, and it's, you know, kind of like TVP, where the bio just kind of gets to be too strong, too much left over, and then it just overwhelms. You can 100% see that being, you know, a way it would have worked out, but the 3rd CC obviously is going to be much more macro-focused, and of course, first time we are seeing Stim going to complete in this series.
Yeah, certainly is. It kind of reminded me a little bit of when, I think it was Cure that kind of made it so 3 racks openings were back again. Not the proxy 3 racks, obviously, but just 3 racks openings. You get your stim, combat shield, do a little of the natural, deal a lot of damage, and they started doing really well for a little bit of time. But here, Scarlett's hunkering down on that Roach Warren tech here, getting the ranged missile as opposed to the melee, which I don't think she's super comfortable with where this game's gone. And this is a map where you can do those kind of busts, I suppose.
Yeah, Kelazhur's just, I mean, still building up those units. We'll have something of a push with a couple medevacs out. We'll see if he wants to bring the tanks across, or if it's just going to be the Marines dropping. How many tanks does he have? He has 1, second one building. Maybe just like an initial Marine drop, take the 3rd CC behind it. In that case, Scarlett should be good with the Roaches to defend. I mean, Roaches are not the most mobile, but I think she's going to have plenty to deal with 2 medevacs and Marines, and it's exactly what it's going to be, just starting up with 60 Marines moving forward, just so the medevacs can catch up. And I mean, this is nice because then you never have to unload them. They're already pre-unloaded, although it will take you longer to get to the other side.
Yeah, and I mean, Kelazhur has a little window here where he's against non-upgraded units, which is nice for him. But I am very worried because when these Roaches do hit 1-1, along with the Roach speed, when you're fighting with Roaches against unupgraded Marines, especially with like an upgrade lead, that is really bad for these Marines. They tickle those Roaches. They already have 1 base armor, so getting the 1 extra, then you're dealing 4 damage a hit against Roaches when they have that much health. That is not the situation you want. But Scarlett is starting to drone up a little bit now, so she feels safe against what she's up against. And Kelazhur does start that armory, so he's just playing an absolute normal game from here on out. I am curious what Scarlett's going to go for, though, because it's not... You know, in every Terran's mind, you know if you're against Roaches that there is absolutely potential for them to hold down the gas and just go at you.
Yes, no, that is absolutely true. It was, I mean, Scarlett is just finishing up her 1-1. She's going to chase some Marines here and gets a couple before the lift-ups happen. I mean, we've got another group of Marines around the right side, and we're going to stim in. They're only going to find creep. If we get up to the high ground, there's a hatchery to perhaps grab. Scarlett's obviously very out of position with the Roaches. The Marines have the DPS to get this in time. Yes, Roach Ravager takes a long time to come home. Lack of mobility is a factor. And there is the cancel from Scarlett. Kelazhur doing well here. Doesn't need a trade. Just lift up. You've done the damage. Don't get over eager.
Yeah, and he's without a shadow of doubt been clicking on these units, so he sees what upgrades his opponent has. And seeing that is committal to Roaches, hey, you can bounce around from base to base. The one thing you have to be careful of is if there's an arrow down the middle where your opponent just guns at you. And so far, I think back at home, he's setting up nicely. And the fact he's bouncing like he is doing, he's doing really good. And Scarlett, she's going back into melee upgrades after this. I don't think she likes this situation at all.
Yeah, wants to play maybe more Ravager Ling Bane into the later game. Obviously, you'll lose some Roaches, you'll morph a bunch more into Ravagers, but I mean, the supplies are good for her, but only because it's inflated by Roaches. She's having to get back into a worker lead now with this next round of drones, so she's been behind on workers. Economy's not great. And that's the issue. Like, Kelazhur's just got potential to trade very well. Tank count is looking good. Unlikely Scarlett's Roach Ravager ever really finds an amazing fight, especially if those tanks come into play. And especially just the lateness of the bases is becoming a bigger and bigger factor too. Scarlett cannot mine off a fourth because it's being cancelled repeatedly.
Yeah, I mean, Kelazhur's doing a really good job, isn't he? Bouncing from side to side. And Scarlett, she's not leaving units on either side either. Like, she's definitely making her life harder for herself here. Because I don't know how many hatcheries have been cancelled at this point, but it's been a really high number.
It's been non-stop hatchery kind of gunning. And you're right, it is the movement from Kelazhur. It's never the same place twice. It's the same place a second time after another place has been hit again, right? So never twice in a row, I should say. And even when Scarlett's trying to double expand, he's been able to get a cancel on both of those, and that just really shows that Scarlett is not dealing with this well. Rattled, I would say, because her Roach Ravager can absolutely split. She knows that. She is very capable of doing that. And against these low, amounts of Marines, you absolutely do not need to keep everything together. It's not like one massive army that's about to get a siege up and, kill your base and you can't break the position. You can easily have afforded to split your units way before now and to have had a fourth base up. I mean, she's on Vipers before a fourth is ready.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy situation. She does have a sick drone count, and I mean, that is a pretty big... I mean, it's a big Zerg army, but it's, yeah, as you said, inflated. Massively inflated. Those Vipers are out now. They do need to gobble up some energy for themselves. But this Terran army, it's about to have 2-2. And that's a serious number of tanks as well. And Kelazhur, he's on 4 bases behind this. He's sitting pretty good. That is 2 tanks lined up for those bars, though. Nice hold by Scarlett thus far.
Yep, I mean, that's a great start. 2 tanks kind of just... I mean, you shouldn't have the tanks in the front. The starters, oh my goodness, Banelings, the few of them that are up, getting tank blasted, quite frankly. And Kelazhur just going to take a moment to pull back. He will finish off this base eventually, build a few drones, and yeah, obviously just a nice pick-off. Once again, Kelazhur doing a good enough job here to keep this game. I would say in his favor, like, yes, this Viper's up. Yes, we're hitting other Hive tech. Kelazhur has his own 4 base against 4 base of the Zerg. I mean, look how oversaturated we are on these mineral lines. Scarlett cannot use all of her drones, and again, so much of her army is +1 missile Roaches. We have dug some tanks in, but you know what? Honestly, there's so much bio. We move forward. There was one Baneling that connected nicely, but the Bioforce just gets on top of all the Roach Ravager, and I mean, Scarlett's only looking good in supply because she's already rebuilding with a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was not an army that she could afford to lose here, Wardy. Like, those Ravagers are 100 gas each, and that amount that just went down, she's now down to drabs, real drabs. She's not got any Banelings on the field. I know she's morphing them in, but you're right. There was like 12 Roaches being made, so she's having to get out this concoction that she doesn't really want to be dealing with either. It's just a real mess of a game for her, and she's trying to hold on here. She really is, but these Marauders are doing such a damn good job of just tanking everything.
Yeah, they are, but Kelazhur might have gone a bit too far forward, a bit too quickly. He has to load up his reinforcements. He just never really got set. The tanks never came across quickly because it was obviously the biostim in ahead, and hence they never got siege. With a siege there could have been a very different story. See a bunch of Lings going down. I mean, as soon as the tanks are siege and Scarlett tries to attack in, it ain't going anywhere, right? But that was a moment where Scarlett could at least push back and bounce back for a few moments. Overlord speed coming up. She is trying to get +2 melee. That Evo chamber is almost dead. I assume that was a Viper's doing. But looks as though +2 melee will be safe to finish. As Kelazhur, just another base coming online, and that is an issue, right? Just a 5th base coming up, while Scarlett's own 5th hatch has only just gotten settled. Again, Scarlett had the drone camp, but she's never had the base to mine from, and then she's not had the bank to remax here. And so Kelazhur is max versus a 180 supply Scarlett, who is still on not many Roaches, but it's still some Roaches. So again, the supply is not fully truthful to how Scarlett should be feeling at the moment.
No, she set up a beautiful little concave here, coming in from every angle that she possibly can, and the Blinding Cloud was kind of decent here on the army. She's holding on pretty strong here, Wardy. She's throwing out every spell that she can. Lovely parasitic bomb in the middle of all that as well. Nice flip from Kelazhur to counterplay it, but he does fall back to the anchor that he had, which is his 5th base, which is where he situated all his tanks.
Yeah, well, again, it's just you didn't bring the tanks, right? Which is fair enough if you don't want to get too committed or anything, but like he ran up onto creep and really put himself in a position for a fight to happen, and then didn't have any of the supporting units. And it's working out. He still is up in army supply, but just why that fight looks a bit scary when we're kind of all about Kelazhur this and Kelazhur that. He didn't bring everything. This wasn't as powerful as he could have been. And even now, as he moves forward again, he's just really using the bio only, leaving the tanks behind. So he always, I guess he's afraid of losing a fight and then not being able to hold his bases. Whereas in this case, if he loses a fight, he'll lose the bio, and he will be able to stick around. Otherwise, as we have some lag here, and we'll take a moment before we get resumed in Game 3.
At least it's not me and Nonno again, you know? The good old Swedish caster. Were you here for that little bit?
Yeah, of course I was here. I was observing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like... I can't differentiate between a Swedish accent and Italian. It's absolutely terrible.
Really?
But yeah, it's horrible, man. I'm terrible at accents. But this game right now, I mean, the players are just talking, making sure that they've got their game situated, and what have you. But yeah, make no mistake about it, Scarlett's definitely feeling the pressure so far in this game, and this all started from a proxy 3-Rex from Kelazhur, where he killed the hatchery, and now we're in this kind of situation. Like, StarCraft is a beautiful game because you can start off in the weirdest, wackiest ways possible, but you know, the game will flow, it'll get good, and these players, they're rearing to go.
They are indeed. They don't want to pause. Obviously, Kelazhur had already pressed pause. That usually happens. And we'll get right back into it. As we will drop a gold base down as well. Kelazhur confident, just taking the map. It's going to make it more and more difficult for Scarlett to deal with. I mean, Scarlett, again, she's had decent upgrades with the +3 melee now coming up. She's got herself the adrenal glands already. She's just never had quite the proper army. She even had tech in the form of Vipers, but they've been very nonchalant in terms of really taking part in these fights. And you know, it was like a decent parasitic bomb here or there, but never anything to really turn things around. Scarlett, maybe time to get some Banes going into mineral lines, right? Try and get some run-bys and just take control yourself, because at the moment, the big issue is that Kelazhur is absolutely decisive on where he wants to be, where the fight should happen. And this time he's bringing the tanks. This is what I was mentioning before. He wasn't bringing the tanks previously, so this time it's going to be that much scarier, although they could have tried to at least split the tanks a little bit, considering this Vipers. Might not matter anyways. The Banes and the Ravagers will roll on through. Here are the Vipers with corrosive bars. I mean, the blinding clouds are good. The Vipers are great, and the Ravagers were great too. And Kelazhur loses a lot, because he's also losing to the counter-attack at the same time.
I mean, that counterattack single-handedly is bringing Scarlett way more back into this game. Way more back. Look at these supplies, Wardy. And this is what makes Scarlett such a good player. She's so damn tenacious. And, you know, she's been on the ropes a lot this game. That Widowmine, oh, lovely split at the end there as well. I didn't expect that to happen, but yeah, she's getting herself, she's clawing her way out of horrible situations here. Absolutely horrible.
Yep. I mean, it's just absolutely brutal as Ling, Bane, Ravager all continues to gather up here from Scarlett, and we do have the Bioforce of Kelazhur moving up the left-hand side, going to go and catch a drone. I mean, he just lost so much. I honestly feel like it was just the tanks were in an awful spot. I mean, where they were was fine, but they were so stacked. So 3 tanks died like the same set of biles. 5 tanks got covered by 2 blinding clouds. If you just spread them out, and he didn't have to rush to siege either, if he just spread them out, like, he would have had so much more firepower in that fight. And yes, the run-by was good, but a big part of it was Kelazhur losing a lot in that fight unnecessarily, I think. He is still okay-ish in supply, and he will trade out decently in the top left corner for a while. But like you say, Scarlett is doing a lot to reset this game and to give herself this fighting chance here in Game 3.
You know what it is? It's like Terrans for so long, we were put in this spot where it's like, you have to attack, you have to slow down the Zerg. But if I can take anything from the way that Spirit played earlier, I don't think you have to anymore. I really don't. Like, these Broodlords with this infinite range kind of situation, no longer the case whatsoever. They're far more vulnerable. And just the late game in general, like, Terrans can actually play it without being super scared. But Kelazhur, if he had a thing in his mind that he was saying, like a mantra, it's like, go, 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 I gotta kill my opponent, I gotta kill them. Which, yeah, Spirit taught us anything earlier. It's, no, you don't really have to do that anymore.
That's very true, as we do have our Marines moving up. Kelazhur, with the bases he has, fully maxed out again. He's got a few ghosts in this army. This doesn't look like a lot of army, though. I'm a little terrified about this fight happening on the map. Splash damage is not set up at all, and he is going to kind of get caught. You can see he didn't agree with this fight either. He is going running. Here's the Widow Mines, though. He just left them waiting. He knew it. As the Blinding Cloud forces a split, but Kelazhur is very capable of that, and the Ghost just tanked a few Banelings that were there. So Kelazhur gets a lot out of this fight. There is a launching attack on the bottom right as well. The gold base is going to fall. I'll Scarlett a few Banelings, though. Kelazhur still has other bases. It's not an immediate kind of eco problem for him.
It's not an immediate problem, but it's going to become a problem pretty soon. He's only on 4 orbitals. Like, this whole game, if Kelazhur was more comfortable with just sitting back a little bit, I think he'd be in such phenomenal shape. But it's the fact that he wants to be so aggressive in the face of Scarlett all the time that's got him the edge earlier on, but also bites him in the ass a little bit here and there. Like you said, that tank split was not it for sure. The bios were great, the Blinding Clouds, but Kelazhur, he's still more than in this. I'm almost talking him out, but look at this. He's got a massive army. He had a massive army, Wardy. He's getting absolutely cleaned up here.
Americas. Yeah, this is what happens in America, man. Like, you can't say 2 sentences without being proven wrong. It's, like, he has good armies, he has large armies, but then his composition isn't great for fighting out on the map. Like, he has no Widow Mines with that force, he has just no splash damage with that force, right? And that allows Scarlett to kind of just swarm in and just surround and actually have a great time. And then he does have some splash damage, which then comes into play and helps him survive when it comes to the counterattack of Scarlett. And then the process kind of repeats itself. This time the Ghosts are very clumped. They get some snipes off. Now they go running. The Marauders, they'll be left to tank. It's an explosive affair. We're going to get a lot of kills. The Ghosts, a few of them still alive. Here's the Hydra's push on through. A lot of DPS on those. Looking good for the moment for Scarlett, as she will pull back and gets her own gold base underway. You mentioned it, that Kelazhur, like, his setup really was starting to go very well and very quickly into, like, all these extra bases. But he didn't set up, like, tons and tons of extra command centers like Spirit did in this similar situation, or Clem yesterday. He's been a lot slower about that because he's been a lot more focused on trying to kill his opponent, I think. And that might have just been his downfall here.
I think if there's a few things that I take away from Spirit's play that I'm absolutely going to put into my own, or just kind of look out for Terrans in general, it's the fact that he's so willing to just deal damage, but then go back to tank Liberator and just set them up at real key points. It was just like 2 or 3 Liberators here, there, and everywhere with the tanks, and just constantly expanding. And constantly waiting as well, and just using little armies to do your damage like this. Getting 9 drones or 8 drones, just slowing down your opponent while getting those gas units together. Because I don't remember him really making that much bio from a certain point in time. It was just all about the big units, you know? Like, he'd be remaxing on the Ghosts, the Libs, the tanks, and it's like, yeah, it made so much sense when you look at it.
No, it definitely hasn't. You see now Scarlett is still launching an attack. She's still on a fairly low-tech army herself. Only the 2 Vipers you could really call tech in this game. As we do have an army in the bottom right, Kelazhur completely overwhelmed here, but that means he's going to lose out on the left side. Scarlett will identify that she has enough to push on through, and she will do so very easily. Drops a Blinding Cloud to help out, but even that was a little unnecessary, as this base will get rampaged through. Kelazhur realizes then, same thing, but on the other side. He can actually continue through and kill off some bases himself. Well, he's going to lose production too, though, so this is actually getting very scary for Kelazhur, because now this army almost becomes, I don't want to say it's all in, but it's definitely getting to that kind of stage where rebuilding it's going to be much more difficult. Yes, he has the main base, but all the additional factories and so on does not exist, and man, he's got so many Hellbats for this stage of the game too, like, so wild. Good EMP on the Vipers, though, before this bigger fight breaks out, but Scarlett has creep spread to accelerate through with the Banelings, and these Marines have nowhere to go. Scarlett crushes this army of Kelazhur. And a game that looked so good for him just fell apart. Again, just, I think, overcomplicating things a lot of the time.
She really put on a clinic that game, like of how to put yourself back into the driver's seat. And yeah, well played to her. There's so many things that I'm just like in awe of when I watch her play. Because that game was not easy by any means, and for all intents and purposes, like, she was looking real down and out, but every time she did something on the map, she was doing something else. So you'd see, like, a fight happen that maybe didn't look the best or the cleanest, and it's like, oh, 19 SCVs died, over to the absolute opposite side of the map. She made it very difficult for Kelazhur, and Kelazhur always felt like there was a fire under his ass. Like, he always felt like he had to do something, like he's, gotta go. And if I could have given him any kind of coaching, like, you know, those CSGO players, they're like, time out, they get 4 of them per match. I'd be like, all right, mate, just settle down. Like, once you get to this stage, don't feel like you have to do something, because whenever you're attacking on the creep, you know, she's cleaning you up. Whenever she's coming to you, you're cleaning her up. Think about it. And like, when you take Spirit, who went up against Reyna, you know that a player that, for all intents and purposes, who wasn't the favorite, went toe-to-toe with one of the best players in the world at this matchup and just said, all right, I get to this stage, I throw out these units, but I make them cost efficient. I get the tanks, the liberators, the ghosts, and I'm also, it's very gas intensive, so that's when I'm getting all my command centers as well, and just making it a far different game, one that's very uncomfortable for them to play in. And I think that's really the way that you have to start playing TVZ, is with that in mind, because yeah, for 10 years plus, Zergs have been so good at fighting, defending on creep. It's not as if they're going to get worse at any point in time, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either, as we are waiting for the ready-ups here on Babylon for map 4. I mean, this absolutely becomes a good Terran map again. It'll be intriguing to see what Kelazhur chooses to do opening on this map, because the one thing that's really worked for him has been some of the mech play. I mean, the start of that last game was obviously good as well, but then it kind of devolved into something that wasn't so good. He kind of got outplayed from ahead, so then it feels scary to play Bio again. Generally feels like this should be a pretty good Terran map, so we'll see what happens. We'll be into this in a moment as the game gets loaded.
I'm betting on some 2 racks at the top of the ramp here kind of thing. Like, you know, getting some Reapers out going. I love those kind of plays, and this is where you can absolutely get it going. And Kelazhur, he's a fan of those Reaper openings. If there was a map to do it, this would be it. Granted, I haven't spoke to him beforehand, so I have no idea what he's actually going to do.
Well, let's find out. In the top left corner, our blue Terran from Team Liquid, Kelazhur.
And spawning over in the southeast side as our red Zerg, it is Scarlett. He's not going to do it. Bugger.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I think it's because he spawned on this side of the map and not the other one, honestly.
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of, I was gonna say it's kind of tough on a ramp with a map with a ramp though. Either way,
it's definitely nicer on the other side. Like if you spawn where Scarlett is,
yeah,
because then your add-ons are nicely and safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but it's definitely one of those openings that I've been doing a little bit. Just on this map, I saw like Beyond do it, and I was like, "Holy crap, I love that."
It's been used a lot, man. It's been a big favorite, especially in the Korean scene. Mara using it a lot, Beyond using it a lot. Kelazhur is one of the players that uses it, honestly, kind of a lot as well, just not bringing it out here today against Scarlett, not feeling it against her.
Oh, I mean, honestly, Kelazhur's probably feeling the heat right now. Like, for all intents and purposes, could have been up like 2-1 in the series, maybe even, I don't want to say 3-0, because that was kind of selling the first game a bit short, I feel, on Scarlett's side of things. But he's been playing good. It's just Scarlett's managed to get herself back from absolute deficits in this series. And those are, once you're starting to feel that, those are the kind of series as well, you start to gain a lot of confidence, I feel, if you're in Scarlett's shoes, because in her head, it's like, well, if I just don't start off a game behind this time, then it's going to be pretty free sailing for me, as opposed to me getting myself in this horrible situation. Then I have to work really hard to get back.
It does feel like we've not really seen Scarlett play a game from a good start, right? Every time it's been a little bit awkward and a little bit funky. And okay, I guess game 1 was fine. I still felt she was a bit underprepared, and she had to, you know, get creative and, you know, hit good timings and do good things. But yeah, just we haven't had that kind of super clean start where nothing really goes on and she just gets to play her game from the beginning. So credit to Kelazhur for creating a series like that, because it's not going to go well for you if Scarlett does get to do those things. It'll be fascinating just to see how well she can do, though, if she is, you know, less harassed throughout the early stages and she does get off to that much better start.
Yeah, certainly. She did opt for 6 Zerglings. This map, I mean, it is a bit of a shorter map than most in this map pool. Definitely one of the maps that Terrans do tend to like quite a bit, I would say, when it comes down to it. Nice to expand, nice to move across the map. Seen a lot of these crazy 2-base tank pushy kind of builds as well really come alive on a map like this. isn't what Kelazhur is going for, because we do see a third CC on the one gas build that he's opted for. So very, very nice and standard by him.
Yep, definitely very tank focused in the mid game potentially though. So things to watch out for as that Reaper jumps back out, and Lings will show up on the other side straight into the mineral line. First SCV is downed, and the other SCVs will pull in to fight against those Lings as well.
Never. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's painful.
Never the start you're hoping for is the Terran and Scarlett. She made a couple of extra Lings and managed to get that done with them. Definitely not bad for her. Something to make you smile every now and then.
Yeah. No, it's definitely nice, and she's got a bunch more Lings out now, ready to defend against the Hellions. It is just Hellion Banshee from Kelazhur, perhaps the most straight-up opener he has opted for throughout this series. So that obviously is going to be kind of nice for Scarlett if she does just want to play a more normal game. I am thinking, though, obviously, if Kelazhur does still have a tendency to play mech, you have not done the Banshee into battle mech, right? If we're talking about different things we've done so far, I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case here, but a possibility if mech really is his kind of way to win this series, if that's what he believes, and he could have believed that based on the first couple of games for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't gone for a tech lab on the barrack, so it's absolutely not out of the running just yet, because normally you do have that tech lab up and working already. And going for double gas now, Wardy, before any extra barracks, I think we could be seeing mech, and yet again, especially with a game like that third game, because that was the first bio we've seen from him in the series, and the fact that it might feel like he lost an idea of what to do. Oh no, that's a rough one. Lost idea of what to do, really.
Yeah, this is actually not going to turn out so badly. We lost one Hellion, a couple SCVs. The other Hellions have to turn around. Scarlett's getting Overlord speed very quickly here. Are we going to do some kind of like almost feels like we could like Queen drop Ling Roach sort of attack thing. Like the Overlord speed is just so quick here. We do lose 5 drones though to the Banshee, and more Hellions coming across too. So Scarlett does have to sharpen up her defense, make sure there's no holes that Kelazhur can slip through.
Kelazhur's actually going for a third Banshee here as well, which a little, opportunistic, I suppose. That first Banshee revealed itself, killed the 5 drones that you spoke of before Cloak was done. So that was kind of nice for him, and just kind of even the playing field a little bit. Doesn't want to be losing those Banshees anytime soon, but will deny the creep spread a little bit. But yeah, I wonder, because that Overlord speed could be used aggressively. I mean, if she knew what we knew, the fact that those second and third factories aren't yet done. Oh, Hyperflight rotors now? I mean, that's a late timing on it. Yeah. But
I mean, I don't hate the idea.
Do you feel like... No, I don't hate it, but I feel like he's freestyling a little bit, right?
I feel like he's gonna die, like right now.
Yeah, I think he's super dead. But I like the attempt. I like the attempt.
Yeah, Scarlett's about to have Roach speed, Lings to help. The Queen's alone to start off with. I mean, your DPS is Banshees against 8 Queens. Like, it just isn't meant to go well for you. Scarlett shows up. Let's see if Kelazhur can pull off something here, as we do have limited creep spread. The Overlords are going to have to keep on spreading now. I guess there's no anti-air to push these Overlords away, though. He's going to take a few Lings over towards the main mineral line. I actually love that. That's very cute, because it's just a way to pull Kelazhur even further apart, who's now very supply blocked as well. 2 tanks on the way at least, but all the SCVs have to be pulled in here, and this really ain't the prettiest of starts for Kelazhur. Scarlett with an absolutely deadly timing coming through. 31 dead SCVs. The Lings in the main did pretty decently as well, I believe. And the problem is with the siege tanks, you can literally drop on top of them, and that's what we're going to do to help clean those up and make sure that this is going to be not enough. GG, well played.